Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Jim Hohl of Visify.com. Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Seth.
Awesome. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
How far back do you want to go? I got started in marketing right out of college. So I've been in this business for 25 plus years.
Okay. And how did how did Visify come about?
Sure. Visify started about 5 years ago. So there's two co-founders of Visify, and it kind of got started as a joint brainchild of both of us. I had a web design business for several years before Visify, and I kind of wanted to get out of that business. If you've ever owned, I know some of the people that are going to be listening to this are agency owners. If you ever owned a web agency in those days, it started to become kind of a losing proposition. There were a lot of people entering the market, a lot of done for you, sorry, not really done for you, I shouldn't say, do it yourself. That's what I was looking for. Do it yourself options coming on the field. And a lot of, my nephew can do it and my cousin can do it and this person can do it. So it just became really tough to compete, and I was looking for a way out. And as it turned out, I had an intern who was 16 at the time and turned out to be way more than an intern. He was a very smart young man, and a couple years later, he decided not to go to college and approached me about doing something together. And I said, as long as we can get out of doing websites, I'm game. So we decided to shift the focus to marketing, and that's how Visify got started.
Okay, so I'm sure the longer version of that story and
There's
going
much
back
longer.
to 20 years obviously
Yeah.
could fill a book. Okay, so you decided to get out of web design. So what for the folks who don't know, who are listening to this, what does Visify do?
Sure. We are a digital marketing team for experts and thought leaders. And what that means, to break it down, is we do things like Facebook ads for lead generation. We help them with list building, launches, creating funnels. And what's different about us, I think, as opposed to a lot of people out there in our space serving this market, is we aren't a trainer or a coach. We are actually a done-for-you service. So we do the strategy and we also implement it. So we take all the tech piece off their plate, as well as for smaller businesses, we run the strategy. For larger businesses, we partner with them and co-create the strategy.
Okay. And who is I know you get a couple, but who is your ideal client?
Our ideal client is obviously definitely in the expert and thought leader space. So that's someone like a coach or a consultant, someone who's monetizing their expertise in some way, typically through speaking and training. Those are the vehicles that they use to deliver it. And then also group programs and workshops and things like that. So that's kind of a fundamental thing. We really work only in that space. And then within that, obviously there's a huge range, right? But most of our clients are established, but not, let's say, entrenched. They have some business. They probably have a client or two, or maybe even a few, but they haven't yet approached doing anything online. They've mostly been doing referrals, networking, just sort of the typical way that people start in the beginning, going to events, things like that. They're looking to get out into digital to really alleviate the time that it takes really to grow their business and to leverage a little bit. And then there's also businesses that are a little bit further along, and they probably have a course, they probably have a program, and they've done some marketing, they've done some digital, and it hasn't panned out. Either they have done it themselves, trying to cobble together some information, or they did the nephew, son kind of route, someone internally that's a millennial that they're like, okay, you do it. And it didn't quite work out for them. So they're looking for someone to really put some structure around that and get them some real strategy around their marketing.
Awesome. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So you talked about, you got Visify started about 5 years ago. Have you hired since then?
Yep. We have, in addition to my business partner and myself, we have 3 full-time team members, and we have a couple teams that we use on a contract basis to do some of the implementation tasks.
When did you start hiring additional people?
About 2.5 years ago, so about halfway through our history.
How did you decide then that that was the time to hire?
We probably needed to hire sooner, actually. But we decided then that if we were going to continue to take on clients, it needed to be more than just the 2 of us. And we really have a commitment to doing the done for you component of our business, not just doing the training and coaching. So in order to do that, we just needed some team. So our first hire actually was someone to help sort of facilitate the relationship with the clients. So we hired a customer service person. We call them a client success specialist now. In the beginning, it was just customer service, but we kind of defined the role a little bit better since then. And that was our first hire. And then we brought on a marketing person, and now we have another marketing, implementation person.
Awesome. And then how did you train them?
It was an evolution in how that happened. What we landed on was to hire. So I gave you the short version of the hiring process. Also, by the way, there were a couple of mistakes in there as well. But the mistakes were hiring people that were crazy talented, but didn't probably fit in with the team, fit in with the ethics and not ethics, work ethic, I guess is the word I should say. And the kind of our company values and how we work. And it was just really difficult to work with them. And so they didn't work out. But what we decided instead was to hire for fit. I know that's a really common theme these days, is hiring for cultural fit. And it's really, it sounds maybe a little airy-fairy, but it really works. The people that we have now, the team that we have now, are solid. They work together really well. They work when we're not watching them. We don't have to be on them. We're a remote team. We decided we were able to do that a few months ago. So we hired our first remote person at that time. And so having that cultural fit, and then to answer your question, how we train them was we put together a plan that's specific for each role. So to train them on us, on Visify and our company values, train them on our core audience. So we have a training. Some of this is we've put together, and some of it we've purchased, licensed. So training on the expert industry. For example, we have some materials from Brendan Burchard. He's an expert on expert space, and he breaks it down really handily for us. So that's a great way to get them up to speed on that. Then we have Digital Marketer, who's a partner of ours. We're a partner of theirs, and they have some amazing trainings around the doing of what we do. So everybody has to learn that, from sales to marketing to client success. They all need to know how to do it, even if they're not going to do it, just because there's no way to have conversations with clients otherwise. So they don't have to know it at an expert level, but they have to understand the basics. And so they go through some of those trainings. And then there's ongoing coaching and mentorship with either me or my business partner, Lucas.
And then you brought up something through that process, through that answer. How do you monitor and make sure that what's supposed to get done is what actually gets done? For
the training part you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, we review it with them. I mean, we have assessments in some cases. Digital marketers programs all come with assessments, which is nice. And for the other stuff that doesn't have it, we've put together our own.
Awesome. And when you were hiring, how do you recruit people? How do you find team members?
What we've done in the past, the most recent experience, I think I'll speak to because I think it was the most successful. What I did was I talked to a couple, it's really simple. I had some people put it in some really related forums that were related to us on Facebook, some groups that I wasn't particularly a member of, but that people that were for kind of digital nomads or something like that. And because we were looking for remote people, and we got the best people. It was really hard to choose our most recent hire because we got so many great people from that. So I guess it was more like someone that I knew was aligned with who we were, was in this particular group and kind of spoke for us, I guess, rather than us speaking for ourselves.
Awesome. And then how do you handle the revenue roller coaster of, the ups and downs of that? I hear you. I hear the laughter, which means you know what I'm talking about.
I know. Well, I know. Fortunately, these days it's good. We're more on a level roller coaster for the past several months. But yeah, the first few years were tough. I mean, I was running to the bank with bags of coins to try to make sure we didn't bounce checks. It was really not a fun time. But the way we've dealt with it is, the systems that we have. I mean, I think having the real clarity about who our audience is has really started to give us some visibility within this space. We are not low ticket by any stretch. We're not the most expensive on the block either, given that we're done for you. We're not, traditional agency level prices, but we charge what we're worth, let's say. And so in that sense, we're not really we're always profitable on every client is profitable for us. And we have a system in place for bringing on new clients. I mean, we have a funnel that we've created for ourselves that works really, really well at bringing in the right leads and qualifying them for calls. So that when I do speak with people, I actually don't have that many calls anymore because the calls that are coming in are so good that I don't need that many to keep our, keep
your own funnel, your pipeline full.
Our own, yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So that answers the question I was going to ask about how you're marketing yourself. So when you talked about not having to need that many calls. So let me ask you this. How do you have a sales team? Do you have a sales force?
We used to. I had somebody who was, it's mostly me, but we brought on someone to do sales. But what's happened is actually he expressed an interest in shifting over to marketing. And given how successful our sales efforts have been, we had a position open and we decided, look, we need to kind of scale back on sales a little bit, not to brag. It's just, it is what it is. We're not like overflowing, but we're at the point where we're in a good place. We're like, we really need somebody to train up on marketing. And so we were looking to bring somebody on and he kind of volunteered for the position. And so we shifted him over and really, that's how we did it.
Awesome. How do you balance it all?
In my life,
Yes.
You mean the whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, especially working from home, it's tough. I mean, we have regular working hours. That's one thing. I know a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs kind of work when they feel like it. They like working from the beach or from the coffee shop or whatever. I like working from my desk. I like it being, this is when I work and the other times are when I'm not working. So I think that's really helped a lot. And my business partner as well feels we have the same, we're in sync on that, which is great. We've given ourselves every other Friday off right now. So we're hoping to get to every Friday off, and we'd love to get to every Friday off for everyone, but we're starting with just us because we're the ones that are putting in all the work and all the risk up until now. And so those are a couple ways that we balance it. Unfortunately, I have to say on the physical activity side and all that, I haven't been as good as I would like to be. So I could definitely use some more activity, but as far as the time, at least, I think we've got a pretty good balance.
Awesome. And with all the success you've achieved, what's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge is I want to take it to the next level personally. I'm taking on speaking in a big way. I have been dabbling in it for a while, and now I really want to own it. I want to be not just speak when I have paid opportunities to, like when I can sponsor. I want to be a sought after speaker. So I'm looking to hone my skills and develop my talks and just really get my speaking solid. And that's partly creating content, partly techniques.
Then of course there's some marketing to get you on stages.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, I have those skills. So, and the team has the skills to help me out with that.
My attempted humor.
Yes.
Awesome. What do you like best about what you do?
Wow. Okay. So the biggest thing for me, and not to get too sentimental about it, but the reason why we chose this space is because I've been really impacted by transformational work and transformational leaders. And I started with Tony Robbins in my 20s. I read everything he had. I listened to his audio tapes at the time. I haven't made it to an event yet, but I was just such a voracious consumer of all that kind of content, the Artist's Way and lots of that kind of transformational stuff that was available in the 90s. And I just really feel honored to be able to support this space and the people that are putting out this stuff into the world that's so great. And so what I love the most about it is being able to enable them to empower other people to really have the lives of their dreams, the businesses of their dreams, to do what they've always wanted to do. And that's always great to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful ripple effect. That is awesome. If anyone listening to this is resonating with what you're saying and wants to learn more about the done-for-you services you provide, where is the best place for us to send them?
Well, I don't have a dedicated link, but you can just check out visify.com. That's visify.com. And if you are looking to work with us, there's a link there that you can apply and set up a conversation.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share with the audience that I didn't think to ask you?
I've had so many different ideas that I've sat on. I mean, this is something you probably hear a lot, is just pick one and go with it. If you're looking to start a business, when's the best time to plant a tree, right? 20 years ago, when's the second best time right now? So I would say if you're sitting on something and the reason you're listening to this podcast is for ideas, pick one and run with it, because you're never going to know how it turns out until you start doing it.
That is great advice. Awesome interview, inspiring story. Jim from Visify, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Do you want to become insanely successful? Do you want to be the go-to guru in your industry? Do you want to be talked about for all the right reasons? For over 40 years, Kevin Harrington has helped people just like you become significant influencers. Now he's broken the process down in the Key Person of Influence Roadmap, and it's yours for free. Just text KPI to him at 727-888-2100. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free step-by-step guide. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 to get the recognition you deserve and experience success as the go-to voice everyone listens to in your industry today.